Elliott Wave History. We are going to start our Elliott Wave journey from the beginning. Elliott Wave was developed by the great Ralph Nelson Elliott in the 1930s. Elliott started his career as an accountant, and before his big discovery, he published two books, Tea Room and Cafeteria Management and The Future of the Latin America. After his visit to Central America, he contracted an illness that forced him to retire from accounting. He decided to spend the rest of his life studying the stock market. Now, this is the part that we care about most. He started by analyzing huge amount of market data. He examined 75 years of historical data from the Dow Index, from yearly figures down to half-hour charts. His discovery was amazing. He managed to crack the market code without modern-day technology. You need to keep in mind that back then, you needed to print charts by hand, and you didn't have any piece of code that could analyze the market in just a few seconds. Elliott found that each chart contained patterns that constantly repeat. Today we know these patterns as Elliott waves. In 1946, Elliott published his final work, The Nature's Law, The Secret of the Universe, where he explains how market works. In every chart, you have a 5-wave structure. Waves 1, 3, and 5 are trend waves, and waves 2 and 4 represent the market corrections. And since market will never move in just one direction, for example, market won't just push higher or just lower all day long, Elliott separates patterns into two phases, motive and corrective. Motive phase represents a larger trend, and all patterns in this group will have a 5-wave structures that we are labeling with numbers from 1 through 5, and inside corrective phase we are only going to see a 3-wave pullbacks. And to separate corrective phase from motive, we are going to use letters A, B, and C to label this phase. Now, this is how everything would look like, let's say, on the 1-hour chart. And if you watch closely, we can again see that we just have a 5-wave move up followed by a 3-wave move pullback. And if you pay attention on this over here, we can, let's say, see the same exact pattern as we had on the previous slide. So you can watch the previous slide, let's say, as a 15-minute chart. So this would be some sort of hourly chart. We can always go at the bigger time frames and see same exact pattern. So here's an example how everything would look like at, let's say, at the daily chart. And again, we would just have a 5-wave move up followed by a 3-wave move pullback, where waves 1 and 3 represent our first pattern, so 15-minute chart, and the larger one to our second pattern or hourly chart. So you can see that markets just repeat and repeat patterns. Our job will be to identify where are we in this larger cycle at the moment, and we build our strategy based on that. Let's say based on this map. Now, it's time to start going a little bit deeper into Elliott Wave, and we are going to focus on learning old patterns.